Hello and welcome back to Leo's Book Reviews. This week I am reviewing the classic Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is actually a compilation of the Bronte sisters that I own, so that's why you can barely see Jane Eyre right there. As usual, if you would rather read the book review, I have linked that down below for you on both Facebook and Goodreads. So, in case you just don't want to listen. This is the first classic that I've actually read in a while. Typically, my book reviews of the classics, I have been listening to audiobooks. But since I no longer commute with the pandemic, and I've been working from home, I haven't had that time to listen to audiobooks. So this was the first one I decided to actually tackle and read in a book versus listening to on a CD audiobook. So Jane Eyre, I mean, there's not a lot that I can say that hasn't been said about it before. It's definitely a classic. If you read or listened to my reviews about the Amanda Hocking Canon Chronicles trilogy, you remember I was talking about elevating the syntax, and that's what makes it a classic. This checks all of those boxes. It's beautiful language. Yes, to a modern reader who's not used to reading books set in this time period or written in this time period, it is clunky, but it really does flow. I mean, just the story and how she speaks, and it's just beautiful. I really enjoyed reading it. It did take a while because, I mean, it's a fairly lengthy book, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected since it's a classic. Those books from that time period I don't tend to enjoy. I'm not a Dickens fan, that's for sure. So this was a different taste for that time period, and I really enjoyed it. Was that because it was by a woman author? Maybe. I don't know. Probably also the reason it was written is definitely a motivation. Dickens, if you didn't know, was literally paid by the word when he serialized his books, versus Charlotte Bronte just wrote the book to get published as a book rather than a serial. Anyway, if you've never read Jane Eyre before, it focuses on the character Jane Eyre and her life in that time period, 19th century England. It's really a sad start, focusing on her childhood. It's something probably fairly common for that area. Parents have both passed away, and they are not very kind to her because it wasn't a favored marriage. So it was a rough childhood. And then you get her experience in the boarding school, which was really fascinating to me and actually really resonated because there was a plague that went through the boarding school and how that was handled, and the deaths of the children at the school really hit hard. Once you get past that, then it goes on to her life as a governess in that time period. I mean, the secrets, the twists and turns, the romance that comes up. And I love Jane because she's so practical. I mean, she's at one point just absolutely consumed by love, but she still steps back and looks at her life and is like, is this what I really want? Okay, if that's what I really want. But she doesn't just let herself get caught up in the throes of love. And just the whole twists and turns. I mean, it really is a fun book to read. If you're not a big fan of classics, yeah, I think you would still even enjoy this. So if you're willing to listen to an audiobook on it, I think that would be great too, because you're still on the edge of your seat waiting to hear what's going to happen. I'm not going to give away too much because it's a lot of fun. Before I read Jane Eyre, I had never actually even read a summary of the book. So everything was a surprise to me, and I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you're looking for a good classic to read, or you're an English major like me and you really want to finish reading up some of those classics, or you just want a mystery romance that's different from what we've seen now with a lot of the romance era, and not saying that the romance that's written now is not good, just this is just a different taste. So, but if you want some, no, just go for the modern romance. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, good book to read. Suggest it. It is a bit lengthy, but I mean, not any worse than a lot of the bigger books that we read today. So, thank you for listening. I appreciate it. As always, like I said in the beginning of the video, Facebook and Goodreads reviews and pages will be linked down below. If you want to give this video a like and maybe a subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And you all have a good day.